very warm welcome to everyone to our Procurement with the Construction Sector webinar this morning. This is part of our Biosocial Business Awareness Raising campaign and understanding of the construction sector across public and private sectors. It's very much a starting point for us as a Biosocial team. As part of our aim is to roll out a series of webinars over the coming months. So yeah, this is our first sort of taster session, if you like, and an introduction to the work that we're doing with the construction sector, as I say, across public and private. Usual housekeeping rules applies. If everybody can remain on mute during the speaker sessions, that would be greatly appreciated. And please do add any questions or comments into the chat section as normal in these Zoom sessions. The session is being recorded, so if anyone would rather turn off their camera, please do so, or keep it off, so that's fine. We aim to send out a copy of all the presentations and the recording to all the delegates and other members, etc. Well, all our members actually across Social Enterprise Scotland, so that they have the information. We've had a considerable amount of interest in this session, although we've had lots of apologies. People are busy and can't actually attend, so hence we're, as I say, recording the session and making that available. It'll be put up on our website also later on. The format for the session today is we've got 3 guest speakers who will give their presentations. One is our own very own Jamie Lawson, who leads on the construction project within the Biosocial Scotland initiative. We also have Stephen Whitten, Associate Director from the Hub programme from Scottish Futures Trust. So he's going to provide an overview from a public sector viewpoint. And finally, Jim Johnson from Morrison Construction, and that's focusing on the private sector. So that's great. So we're going to have just perspectives across, all the sectors, if you like. After our speaker sessions, we're going to open it up for questions and answers, and hopefully get some good debate going there and have some good questions. And then we'll just close off the session. So hopefully that's okay with everyone. So Jamie, if you'd like to kick off the session, please. Thank you.
Okay, Janice, thank you very much. I will share my screen. Coming up. Okay, so can everybody see that? Somebody just gives us a thumb up so we can sort of see it. Good. Okay, listen, so thanks very much, Janice, for the introduction. Thanks, everybody, for logging on today to learn more about our engagement with the construction sector. And thanks again to Stephen and Jim for giving up their valuable time for presenting to our members and cohort this morning. So my name's Jamie Lawson. I work alongside Janice for Social Enterprise Scotland, been with the organisation for around about 10 months now, having come out of sort of leading actual sort of product manufacturing companies within Scotland and Ireland for the last sort of 15, 20 years. So my experience within Social Enterprise Scotland, basically we sort of started the Biosocial Scotland initiative. And basically what that was all around sort of promoting the benefit of a socially and environmentally led sustainable procurement supply chain. We've been supporting our members to engage with the supply chain and the tier 1 direct supply chain. We're looking at embedding sort of best practice and innovation within our members' supply chain with the tier 1s and with the public sector supply chain. And it's all around sort of delivery of enhanced value to the communities that we serve and our members within the social enterprises supporting those communities. We've been busy over the last few months. Basically, we've held roadshows across various cities in Scotland, and at these roadshows, we've had a high representation from the construction sector, and thus obviously our focus on the construction sector as an important aspect of our engagement with the Scottish economy. So at these roadshows, we've had a great range of keynote speakers, and construction have been well represented, as I sort of said, and I've sort of had the opportunity to meet with and sort of discuss opportunities with our members, but we felt it was important to extend that opportunity of having these sort of webinars so that members that couldn't make it to the roadshows could have the opportunity of meeting with representatives from the construction sector and the policy side of what they do as well. Over the next few months, the Bi-Social team will be attending other opportunities throughout Scotland. So we've got the construction webinar event today. In September, we'll be exhibiting at the construction industry training event in Perth, and we've got a Department for Transport event in Glasgow as well. And then we'll be speaking at the Procurex event in October as well. So a good number of events that we'll be pushing the message out around the Bi-Social initiative that we've launched. So the Bi-Social Pledge within the Bi-Social team, this is a new initiative that we launched within Social Enterprise Scotland, and it provides an opportunity for organisations to commit to start engaging with social enterprises. And as we can sort of see, we've got one of our speakers here in this lovely photograph, Jim and his colleague Paula receiving their certificate for signing up to the Bi-Social Pledge for Morrison Construction from Tom Arthur, the Scottish Minister. And this is a new initiative that we launched back in November last year. And the initiative has 5 main points for organisations that are signing up to the pledge to commit to. And this is very much a commitment to. And it's all around having discussions with our membership. So the 5 points are based around recognising fair work, a strong environmental impact, commitment to onboard social enterprises within the supply chains, and that's both direct and through your supply chain. Prompt payment is a key one, and positive impacts on an annual basis, reporting the spend of the social enterprise to ourselves so we can feed that into our stakeholders. Good mix of organisations that have already committed to the Bi-Social Pledge. And as you sort of see there, probably over 50% of the organisations that have already signed up to this Bi-Social Pledge are in the construction sector, and thus the focus for today's event. So thanks very much to all of those construction companies that have already signed up to the Bi-Social Pledge. Other organisations that we've had initial meetings with, presented to, in discussions with, to signing up to the pledge, and again, a good number of construction sector organisations there, but we're keen to sort of see more of the supply chain signing up to the pledge as well. So with your support today, we'd be really pleased to have you obviously discuss that with your supply chain or some of your main contacts if you're a social enterprise. Organisations that are signing up to the pledge, obviously they get access and the acknowledgement and the opportunity to showcase that they have signed up to the pledge, which is really important for our membership. We are then brokering these opportunities for them to engage with social enterprises across Scotland. We're including their organisations within our marketing material, and it's all around maximising the opportunities and the partnerships, as I've sort of said. And also the photo that we've got here is obviously with Balfour Beatty up at the new prison build site up in Inverness. So key stakeholders there from obviously Impact Hub, Inverness and the Highlands TSI, as well as obviously Social Enterprise Scotland. So you can see it's a real support initiative from not just the membership, but obviously the membership organisations other than Social Enterprise Scotland. We're focusing on a good number of sectors of the Scottish economy, and these are all sectors that within Social Enterprise Scotland we feel we've got growth opportunities, but I've highlighted construction in blue because obviously that's the purpose of today's call. And the reason that obviously I've highlighted that in blue is that construction has got significant and strong sustainable growth potential. And with obviously the new UK government coming into power down in Whitehall there, they've already mentioned that they see construction as one of the key elements to kickstart the UK economy. So strong sustainable growth potential. National footprint for our members. So we've got a great mix of members both in rural Scotland and within the urban sort of belt of Scotland. So there's a national footprint of opportunities for construction across Scotland. A good number of the construction companies are already signing up to the pledge or are in the process of signing up to the pledge. So what that demonstrates to our members is that these organisations are looking to maximise their social impact. They've got huge sort of community wealth building programmes and initiatives in place, and they've actually got sort of teams within their organisations that are specifically focusing at social value, social impact. The construction companies, they have got contractual and framework obligations to meet as a result of securing some of the public sector contracts. So they are really keen to ensure that social enterprises are involved in part of their supply chain. And the other good thing is that they do need a wide range of products and services. It's not just what you'd imagine construction companies needing in terms of like PPE or timber or bricks or concrete, etc. They require a whole range from like trainings, equality, diversity training through to sustainability training, through to PPE, through to recycling, through to document management and scanning. So a whole wide range of products and services are needed. And we as social enterprises have got a great opportunity to deliver against that. So what are we quickly looking at trying to do as a sector? We're holding webinars such as this. We're attending Meet the Buyer events and speaking on behalf of social enterprises and our members, and we're doing a lot of networking over the last few months. One of the key things that have come out of engaging with the stakeholders and networking is the requirement for us as a Scottish entity to create a catalogue of products and services and social enterprises. So we're in the process of collating that now. So over the next couple of months, through the regional networks, you will be getting requirements and requests to obviously put forward your organisation, your social enterprise, to go into the new national catalogue that we are collating. And we're hoping to launch this catalogue electronically before Christmas this year. So that's a big target that we've got as an organisation. One of the things that we're really keen to do with, and we've already done this now with a couple of tier 1 construction companies, is actually looking at targeted opportunities. So these are opportunities that are very much, let's say, at the stage of, let's say, Advanced Works 1 within their journey of sort of development. And we're looking at trying to bring social enterprises together to meet requirements for specific opportunities. So very much early in the stage of the process of the project build. And what we're keen to do as well is not only sort of provide sort of delivery of products and services throughout the build program of some of these construction opportunities, but the big sort of sustainable route in all of this is trying to see if we can get some legacy as well. So if we can get social enterprises delivering as part of the build program, there's opportunities there for the social enterprises to then hopefully integrate themselves into that sort of program so that they've got continued opportunities after the build program is over. And to do this, we're looking at trying to sort of build a consortia of social enterprises. So a social enterprise that may feel that they're not large enough or do not have the bandwidth to currently deliver against some of these opportunities, we're looking at building consortia of social enterprises so that they come together to get economies of scale and be able to deliver against some of these construction opportunities. So obviously, Janice mentioned, Janice and I are sort of, if you're a social enterprise, delighted to speak to you as a social enterprise to get your support as part of the catalogue, as part of some of these initiatives. But if you're not a social enterprise, if you're from the construction sector, or the supply chain, we're really keen to obviously talk to you about, getting the opportunity to get you to sign up to the pledge. So I've quickly tried to run through there, what we're trying to do as a member-led organisation in Scotland of engaging with, the construction companies and both public and private sector. And, we'd really like to obviously learn more about your social enterprise, get you into the catalogue to support the initiative as well. So I've quickly tried to rush through there. I'll stop sharing my screen and pass back to Janice for the next speaker and take questions later.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Jamie. Really appreciate you doing that. And yeah, as Jamie said, that's a really good oversight of our Bisocial Business initiative and how we're trying to work with the sector and across sectors around this construction and opening up markets, I guess, around procurement and supply chains, amongst other things. So thank you for that. I'd like to now pass over to Stephen Whitten. He's Associate Director with the Hub Programme for Scottish Futures Trust. So as I mentioned earlier, he's going to provide an overview of the construction sector, focusing on the public sector viewpoint. Stephen, would you like to do your presentation? And
thanks very much, Janice. And this is the fingers crossed moment when, because I had struggled a wee bit earlier, so let me get things sorted here. I'll just share my screen. So I think that should have pulled through for everybody. Just get rid of that. So yeah, great to be part of today's webinar. And as Janice said, I was asked to give a sort of insight as to what the construction sector looked like. And deliberately, I think I'm going to be reinforcing some of the points that Jamie so eloquently made, and sort of giving Jim Johnson the tee up for a load of funny jokes and things like he normally does, in terms of talking about the detail of relationships with tier one contractors and so on. So I'm kind of the link man here. So a little bit about Scottish Futures Trust, or SFT as we tend to call it, and my role and our collective involvement in the construction sector. SFT is not exactly a household name, but we have a long reach into the construction sector. Private company wholly owned by Scottish ministers. So we're charged with delivering world-class infrastructure for the people of Scotland. Easy to say if you do it quickly, but actually quite a big responsibility at the end of the day. And infrastructure is the key word in our sort of mission statement, if you like. It's not just buildings, it's everything from digital networks through to hydrogen generation, net zero initiatives, but construction is very much at the heart of much of the work that we do. And we are very hands-on. Programs that we are delivering or have delivered include the LEAP program, that's the Learning in States Investment Program, which is in its third wave, rolling out new primary and secondary schools across Scotland. Fabulous facilities. We delivered on behalf of government, again, the Early Years Childcare Programme, which saw several hundred early learning facilities being developed to facilitate the 1140 hours of free childcare across the country. As Janice said, I'm involved in the Hub programme. That's been running for about 12 years now. We've delivered in excess of 350 projects with a value in excess of £5 billion. We also run something we call the pipeline database, and this identifies future projects. And I think from a social enterprise perspective, maybe quite an important tool, and one I'll touch on a little bit later. So what about the construction industry? What does it look like? What is the opportunity for a social enterprise? Spend in construction on an annual basis in Scotland is about £7 billion per annum. Public sector specifically, and that's where my area of interest particularly is. Public sector spends about £4 billion a year, so a significant amount of money. And that's on what I would call buildings, as opposed to civil engineering, roadwork type contracts. The industry, as Jamie has alluded to, and I'm sure Jim will confirm, is highly structured. It works on a sort of principle of a number of tiers. And at the top of that pyramid of tiers are what we call the tier one contractors. Not not a huge number of them in Scotland, but they tend to deliver the majority of significant projects. Sitting below them are tier twos, again, some big organizations sitting in there. The larger ones tend to be maybe mechanical and electrical based, and they again will subcontract many of the packages which they're delivering. The industry is made up of multiple small and micro businesses, 179,000 direct employees, which is a significant number in terms of the sort of sectors of the Scottish economy. We're sitting about 8th, so it's a major employer. It's a major contributor to GDP. Quite amazingly, nearly 22,000 companies within the sector. And I think what's even more surprising when we look at the data is 91% of those are micro businesses. And I think from memory, a micro business is 10 employees or less. So it's quite an interesting structure. Now, it's got to be said, construction ranges in terms of the size of the projects. Some of the schools we're delivering just now are 80, 90 million pounds in terms of value. Construction, the sector includes everything from that sort of level down to domestic work and in everything in between, be it refurbishment, be it maintenance, be it facilities management. So it's a hugely structured and hugely diverse business, but there is room for small operators. I think to me that's the interesting thing here, isn't it? There are opportunities for small businesses. So if you like, in a nutshell, that's the high level analysis of the business, of the sector. What's the support for social enterprises? And you know, for me and from my involvement within the sector, the support is definitely there, but it's possibly not visible to everybody. And I see there's a sort of cascade of support, if you like, and it starts with Scottish Government. So Scottish Government are very much saying that they have 3 current themes or priorities. Those are net zero, inclusive growth, and sustainable places. You might say, what's that got to do with social enterprises? If we look at inclusive growth in particular, the focus of inclusive growth is to give everybody in Scotland a share of the opportunity. Let's talk about an example. If there's a new high school being built local to you, the ambition is that an amount of that expenditure will stay in the local economy, rather than being delivered completely by contractors and subcontractors who have no relationship to the locality. There's an ambition that local people benefit from that investment. So not only is government delivering a fabulous new school where our children will get better educated and our communities will have a facility that often they can use as well, but there should be a benefit to the locality and a long-term benefit in terms of economic growth. That's a hugely important principle. Government's obviously putting legislation in place all the time. One of the key pieces which is developing just now, and Jamie referenced this, is the Community Wealth Building Bill. We're not exactly sure what's going to be involved with that, but I think the answer is that it lies in the title. This is going to be focusing on keeping increased amounts of wealth local when investments are being made. So how does that support get from Scottish Government down to the sort of more grassroots? It kind of cascades down to the next level in coming to local authorities, and the government's direction is passed down to local authorities in terms of maybe being linked to the funding. So if we look at the LEAP funding, which comes from Scottish Government to the local authorities, there will be requirements for those local authorities to have developed strategies and approaches in terms of what they call sustainable procurement, and also talking about inclusive growth and the social benefit of investments. That in turn, those requirements in turn get passed down into individual projects. And this is where the tier 1 contractors who are bidding for projects are given the opportunity to deliver social impact that Jamie was referencing in his earlier chat. There will be particular requirements built into the tenders saying you must deliver the following community benefits. And on many as an occasion, that's when the requirement to engage with social enterprises is formally included in the documentation. That may sit alongside opportunities to create local jobs, to provide local training, to engage with local schools. So there are a raft of requirements, but I think from my mind, this is where the social enterprises have the opportunity to engage with the construction industry and start to benefit from the investment that government and local authorities are making. The opportunity, I think the questions that a social enterprise should be asking is, what is it that I'm offering? Where do I fit in to the supply chain? And the supply chain is complex. Where are the projects that I can get involved with? And I've just put a link to our pipeline database there, so you can reference that and see if that's of some use to you. That database enables all local authorities to identify the projects which they're going to procure. It identifies the stage of delivery they're in. So it gives you all the information you need about spend in your locality or in the sort of sectors of the industry that you're focused upon. And I suppose, however, the key to me is you can answer those first 3 questions, but it's about getting exposure, it's about having a collective voice, and it's about opening the door of opportunity and walking through that door. And it strikes me, and I thought Jamie's presentation was very good, that there's an opportunity there for Social Enterprise Scotland to assist in opening the door and assist in giving you the opportunities to have the right conversation to develop the network. My sense, and I'm sure Jim will talk about this a lot more, is that the industry works on the basis of relationships. It's about capacity, it's about capability, and it's about trust. If you're going to get involved with a project, there needs to be certainty that you can deliver. So I think having the right representation, having the right conversations with the right people in the supply chain is hugely important. And it strikes me that with Social Enterprise Scotland, you've got a great opportunity to sort of create that bridgehead and start to have the conversations. So I talked about opening the door and walking through it. I'm not going to say an awful lot more, but I'm going to pass on to the man that might have the key to the door, Mr. Johnson. So that's pretty much it from me at this stage. Now, I did have a problem switching my presentation off before, so Hannah, could I ask you to sort of close me down, so to speak? Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Stephen, for that presentation and overview. Really insightful and helpful. Thank you very much. As mentioned earlier, we'll go to questions and answers session, but first we'd like to hear from Jim Johnson from Morrison Construction, who, as Jamie mentioned, we are delighted as an adopter of our Biosocial Pledge initiative. Jim?
Thanks very much. I'm just going to try to share this now. This should be good. I just need people to tell me if they can see the picture that you should be using to keep your kids away from your telly. The fact that people's laughing usually means that they can see that picture. That picture is in no way photoshopped. That is a true reflection of myself. Steve, thanks for the warm-up. Just goes to show all people can use technology. So well done, Steve, in managing to get your presentation up there. So I'm going to just take 5-10 minutes to talk about opportunities within Morrison Construction. I'm the head of communities and social impact for Morrison Construction in Scotland. So to let you know, I don't build anything. I have the cleanest yellow jacket in construction. But what I do is look at ways that we can engage with social enterprises, supported businesses and third sector organisations. So why social value? Why would a construction company want to do community building, as we've heard so much about this morning? Is to make a change. if you want to make a change, you have to make a positive change. And I'll touch on the old way compared to the new way. It's about creating opportunities for all. Everybody has their place and everybody has a level and everybody can offer something. It's just the understanding what those opportunities might be. Steve stole my trademark. I'm going to send him an invoice for doing so. It's about doing the right thing. It's not always about ticking a box. It's not always about something that's contractual. It's actually about doing the right thing that you know will make a difference to that community. It's about making an impact. Don't just say you intend to make an impact, make the impact. How can we help you make that impact in your communities? And it's about generating community wealth for all. Steve touched on when we talk about inclusive growth and economic growth. The short and tall economic growth is that it is the generation of wealth for a community, for the distribution amongst that community to create opportunities for all. And that is what everything we're trying to do should lead to. So let me introduce you to one of our project managers. I'm sure some of you have seen him before. He's the big scary contractor. So a lot of people sitting in this call will go, why should we deal with the big scary contractor? They're a construction company. What could we possibly offer? And you all have your own excuses. So they're a big company. They possibly couldn't engage with social enterprises. That's too much red tape. How do I work with a big company like that? There's a 465-page onboarding document where I have to sacrifice 2 children, sign it in blood and triplicate just to get to talk to somebody. They always do tenders. It's never just straightforward negotiation. It's never just straightforward talking to them. They're very processy. As Steve alluded to, everything's very structured. There's a process for the process for the process. And they'll not even want to talk to us anyway because we have nothing to offer. We're not that scary. We do try to make things easier. Smaller packages with your supply chain. If some of you, I think Steve alluded to it, we'll look at your capability. We'll look at what you can actually cope with. We won't spend too much money with you. I know we'd all love us if we spent £6 million with every social enterprise, but we would run the risk it'd create more damage than we would create more good. Last year, we managed to spend just over £200,000 in the third sector, and I'm delighted to say we're looking to probably exceed that by about 30–40% next year. But it's about understanding people's capabilities and what they can actually cope with. We'll support you to get through the process. We have appointed a dedicated person in our procurement team, Gabby, who now looks at third sector spend. And I believe, I see Social Printer on the call. She should have either reached out to you or she's about to reach out to you, because we were looking at a piece of work round about the recycling of toner cartridges. So again, it comes back to that, us having to understand what it is you're offering. And bear in mind, we're not just a construction company. We have finance, we have business administration, we have tendering, we have investments, we have, you name it. We've even got a doctor, because he phones me now and again just to make sure I'm at my work. But we only know what we know. I don't know everything, contrary to what Mr. Whitten believes. I only know so much. So you guys need to come and talk to us. Remember I said we're no scary. If you want me to we bring dogs into our work on a Friday, I can bring one of the dogs along to a meeting if that makes you more comfortable. But tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that you want me to know that would attract me to invest or work with you as a business to look at ways we can spend. Remember I spoke about Gabby. Gabby's very keen to get out and about and meet social enterprises to understand where they can fit within our business to allow us to generate that wealth and spend. Why is it important to us? We've done an old way. We all tick boxes and it all look very nice. I can't talk about doing the right thing and making an impact if we don't make that impact. I talk about opportunity quite a bit, and I keep saying, no, there's opportunity for everybody. Right, I've got to generate that opportunity, or do you know what? I'm just telling lies. It's about creating that opportunity and exploring ways that we can work together to get the maximum out of that opportunity. It's about wealth for everyone. The principles of community wealth is about generating wealth so that our local community becomes self-sustaining and creates their own. Steve, I'll send you that one. Now that'll look better on your slides next time about doing the right thing. Right? Not everything in business is about getting your picture taken and spinning PR. Sometimes it's about just doing the right thing for communities. If we want this country to be a forward-thinking, wealthy country where we get rid of most of our problems, then it needs more ways to do the right thing. And if we're going to make a positive impact, make a positive impact. We keep talking about trying to be a difference. If you want to be a difference, you have to be that difference. You have to stand up and deliver on what you're saying. So why do we do it? It's very simple why we do it. It's about creating employment for young people. It's about using our projects as learning tools to encourage young people to see the construction industry. Through that, we generate wealth. Through that, we generate communities that actually have a vision and a focus on how they're going to generate that wealth. Plus, the fact is I've got people that work for me that get really nice photographs taken and they look better than I do in a photo. I'm quite happy to answer any questions. It's easy to work with a big contractor. There's opportunities there. Come and talk to us. Remember what I said? I don't know what I don't know. I can make a difference, but if we're working together, we can actually make change. So with that, I'll pass you back to Janice.
Thank you very much, Jim, for your presentation. Always insightful and really nice to hear how committed you are to the community wealth building agenda, I guess, and how open you are to engaging with our sector. And it highlights, I guess, our role and some of the other people on this call today, you know, our collective role in actually engaging with you and making those opportunities available to some of our members and organisations and entrepreneurs that we are aware of, that are up and coming, young people, etc. So we have a key role to play in connecting with the private sector and across the public sector. So thank you for that. Thank you to all our speakers. Time for some questions, I guess, put you guys on the spot. So I'd like to open up the floor to anyone. If you can just raise your hand, a virtual or your actual hand. Is that the right saying? On Zoom, it's a while since I've done Zoom, actually, you can tell. But yeah, so we really welcome questions. It's a great opportunity. All right, I'll try and keep an eye on. Hannah, can you have does anyone have any? Oh, Ian. Thank you, Ian, from Social Print and Copy. Morning.
Morning, hi there. Hi, Jim. I'd just like to reiterate a couple of points you said within your slideshow there, how challenging, how difficult it is to become a partner of corporate organisations. And you did allude to us having a conversation within the last few weeks. It took us 5 days, very, very simple from start to finish, to become a partner organisation on the procurement of Morrison's. So it isn't as scary as people think it might be. It was very simple, very easy, and I'd just like to thank Morrison's for their participation, their assistance in this.
Thank you, and thanks for
Ian, I'm delighted it works, because if it didn't work, I'd need to go and shout at people, and I'm not a shouty person. So thanks for that. I'll pass on and tell them they're all doing their job right.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to come in?
Okay, Janice, I'll go again.
Right, thank you.
We've been a very progressive, well, we think so, organisation. We've looked at many ways and how we engage with people. And it's very costly to do so. And as we all know, the budgets that we all carry are very tight in how we actually grow. But the one thing that we have learned, and we've tried to look at this quite deep in analysis, is the only way that we can grow as a social enterprise is by investment, and really investing very heavily in marketing and promoting ourselves, and putting together case studies and putting it out to these organisations, and how we do that. And that's something we have to do better at. I had a meeting with Scottish Government earlier on this week, and it's one of the things that came back from that. We're on the supported framework as well, and the amount of people who actually know about us in Scottish Government is actually tiny, and it's about how do we actually promote ourselves better to the organisations. And I think it's something we need to work, maybe Jamie, having a conversation with wider membership and how we collectively present ourselves, and maybe look towards doing it slightly better as a group rather than as individuals at times.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Jamie, do you want to
Janice,
come in?
I was on mute there. Yeah, no, that's a really valid point, Ian, that you've mentioned there. I think we, as a national, let's say, member-led organisation, Social Enterprise Scotland, we've got a huge role to try and support the membership, whether it's through their sort of regional networks or through just individual contact with the members. We've got a huge opportunity here to pull together our resource and present the social enterprise offering as a concise offering. I think, picking up on one of the points that Stephen mentioned around sort of relationships, capability and trust, I think we're on that journey now. Certainly as a sort of organisation, we are reaching out to not just our regional networks in social enterprise, but we're reaching out to some of the other sort of agencies and support networks across Scotland, whether that's, the Scotland's Towns Partnership. We've been in some really good meetings and discussions and getting some great support from the Edinburgh and South East Scotland City Deal Partnership as well. So we want to really engage other sort of member-led organisations that have got a stake in the community wealth agenda, and promote the social enterprises as best as we can, not just to the Scottish Government and the public sector procurement, but also the private sector procurement, because there are huge benefits for these organisations through engaging with our network.
Thanks, Jamie. Thank you. Sorry, it was just.
I'm sorry, Janice, if I can just steal again.
Yeah, no.
The catalogue that we're pulling together will be just a prime example of that, because this is a great opportunity for social enterprises to get themselves marketed the way that Ian's kind of saying that we should be doing. So again, the catalogue is coming around as a result of, again, engagement and support from Edinburgh and South East Scotland City Deal. So, we've been really working closely with them. We're going to sort of look at the format that they've done very successfully, create a national opportunity for the social enterprises, and it will sort of, showcase the social enterprise. It will showcase products and services that they are going to be offering, the locations across Scotland that they can be offering, and as importantly, give a wee bit of a pedigree about them as well, so that the buyers, whether it's private sector or public sector, can have that faith and confidence and the trust that sort of Steve and Jim have both mentioned in their presentation about engaging with the procurement side of the organisations. So I would just like to really emphasise to any of the social enterprises on the call today, please, 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 when you get the message coming through to get your organisation listed on the catalogue, that you do respond promptly to that offer, because we've got a finite window to pull this information together so we can get this catalogue out before Christmas. Thanks, Janice. I'll keep quiet now.
No, thank you, Jamie. All very, very important points and really relevant for our sector. Is there any other questions from MD in the session today?
Julie raised it.
Ah, Rosa.
No, I say, is Julie want to say something?
Oh, Roshan introduced.
Oh, sorry, Julie. Sorry.
That's all right. I just shared the link for our social business directory in the chat. So that's for the Edinburgh and South East Scotland City Regional Deal area. So that's Edinburgh, the Lothians, Scottish Borders, and Fife, and that's kind of work in progress. So we launched that in April in response to us working closely. So the City Deal projects are always like partly government funded, and yeah, very much just sort of what people are saying there. Just so if an example that we have recently is the Edinburgh Innovation Hub. The site manager came to us and he's like, "Oh, we'd like a food truck on Friday," and it was good to be able to just go straight to the social enterprise directory and go, "Ah, there we go." So yeah, that's work in progress. So have a look on that. And if anyone has any questions or wants to explore that a little bit further, just drop me a line. And yeah, we are working closely with Jamie and Janice. So that's good that we kind of like collecting our skills. So just to say, yeah, I've popped that in there.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, that's really important. And yeah, it just is part of, I guess, our responsibility across Scotland, across sectors, is actually to begin working closer together to maximise these opportunities and avoid duplication as well. So I think we're all driven by opening up opportunities and making social enterprises, or embedding social enterprises into sort of general practice in terms of business transactions. That would be, you know, our end result, and obviously the impact, you know, that comes from these transactions. I think it's great, and that's where we're driving towards, helping to facilitate these conversations, as Jim rightly mentioned during his presentation as well. Is yeah, we need to make conversations happen. How do we connect and network? And as part of Biosocial Scotland and our sort of events, calendar of events, that's part of our key priority within that, is actually to open up the networking opportunities and to help build relationships, which is obviously very personal, but getting the opportunity to actually meet face to face is huge. You know, it has huge benefits, and things do happen really quickly. I wonder if I could maybe ask a question, because part of our work, I guess, is around the opportunities for collaborating. So we know that some of the tender opportunities, contract opportunities, and that are quite high value, and even coming in through the sort of subcontracting opportunities. I wonder, Jim, do you have any sort of experience of consortia, working with consortia across our sector, or indeed SMEs that you could highlight?
You'll probably, well, I was going to say we were probably involved in one of the biggest joint ventures when we built the new Queensferry crossing. But I mean, in terms of social enterprises, we don't see it, and we think that there's a market there, that there is definite opportunities with our supply chain. We find that if we contract the main packages of work on a project, which tend to be your mechanical and electrical, so your electrics, your plumbing, your groundworks and things like that, that these contractors tend to have smaller subcontractors carrying out pockets of work for them. So there is definitely opportunities there. Now, I don't know if there's an appetite, and that's maybe where I'll ask your members a question. Is there an appetite to look at collaborative working, to looking at joint ventures? Is that something they would be interested in? If so, Jamie, I'll put a wee challenge to you. There may be some sort of workshop in terms of collaborative working and what that process would involve in terms of tendering with a tier one contractor, or engaging with a tier one contractor, that we could probably get our procurement team involved in to have a look at. So there is definite opportunities, but I don't see the appetite. We may get now and again, depending on the size of the project, where you may get some collaboration between an electrical company who work with a plumbing company, who work with a ventilation company, and they'll come together for the package of work under one umbrella. But in terms of social enterprises, I'm not really seeing the appetite. I may be wrong, but look, I'll have to be proved wrong if it's there, Janice.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that very valid points. Jim, we do have work to do around, building consortia and collaboration opportunities. We believe they are there, and we need to look at how do we open these up and how do we make them work? How do we get the sector ready as well? It's like future. I'm going to say forward thinking, if you like, looking at the opportunities that are going to come up, say in the next 12, 18 months, even further ahead as well, Jim, so that we can make those contacts and look at those opportunities, and also look at how we support social enterprises to perhaps diversify or move into sort of new areas of work where they could potentially take up these opportunities. Anyhow, I'm aware that I may be taking up valuable time for our audience who may wish to pose any questions. Does anyone have any other questions to put the group? I'm aware that Stephen, we haven't really given you any questions to answers around the public sector. I wonder if you had any
don't
final
you worry about
comments.
that,
Well,
Janice.
I've got
That's
a cracker for
absolutely
him,
fine.
Janice. Can I ask it?
No,
Can I ask it?
I'm not taking any questions from you, Jim.
There you go. But yeah, because the public sector, obviously, huge opportunities there. We see them, the actual spend in the sector, just, that's a given. It is how do we as a sector actually tap into that and engage in the supply chains, not necessarily at the high end value, but even further down. Ian, sorry, see your hand up there.
I feel like I'm monopolising here, but
Not at
coming
all.
back to Stephen. Stephen, you said you had your forward diary plans of opportunities that were coming forward, and it was actually something that came up when I was speaking with Scott McCrindle earlier on this week. And as a social enterprise, we're also looking at sustainability and also disability within the business, and we're on a couple of frameworks, and the supported business aspect, and also looking at reserved areas that can go into future projects. That forward diary of projects is probably a good thing for us and other social enterprises to look at, because if we can identify areas of projects that are coming 12 months down the line, we could be speaking to organisations who are putting tenders out and actually let them know that we're a supported business and there can be an area that are held for social enterprise organisations to really go at. And it falls back into the collaboration aspect of things again. We signed off on our first collaboration with a commercial organisation last week for larger scanning projects because we were being approached for them, but they were just too big for us. So we said, well, we'd rather have a small slice of the cake than lose it altogether. So we came together with another organisation to do that. And part of the conversation with Scott is looking at how do your work early, find out when projects are coming along and get in at inception before tendering actually goes into the main body of organisations and they start doing all the planning and putting the nuts and bolts together to put it out to tender. And if we can be an enabler to let people know who we are and what we can do at the very outset, they can actually put a place in there for us to get a part of that within social enterprise and supported business.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation, Ian, and that's exactly what the pipeline database is for. And it's for organizations of all sizes, all capacities. And it's one of the challenges, and I used to work as a construction consultant, and my biggest challenge was actually understanding where the next project was coming from. And I ran a relatively small business of 20 people, and we needed a regular churn of opportunities, but we were spending so much time finding the opportunities, let alone bidding for them. So this database should work in exactly the way that you're talking, so identify the type of work you're doing, identify the locality or the region that you want to work in. It's all there, and as long as local authorities keep supporting it, you should have that forward look of maybe 2 years, something like that, in terms of potential projects. And I think that could be a game changer. And it's the challenge, however, is making sure that it's kept current and kept live. And we have a team that works on that, and it's updated. I think it's updated every 6 months. And the recent update has just been completed. So I would say to anyone on the call, have a look at that now, see how usable it is, but maybe then work with Scottish Enterprise Scotland to say, look, is there a way we can collectively work around this or filter it to make it easier, something like that?
Thank you, Stephen. I'm aware of the time actually. I realise that you have to leave because you have another commitment at 12 o'clock. So I'd really like to thank you today for your contribution. It's been really helpful and we appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was great to be involved, Janice. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you, Stephen. Now, so I don't think I see. Oh, okay, we can put the link to the database in the chat. We'll get that for you, or we can certainly send that out in our follow-up emails. Yeah, thank you to all our speakers today. If there's no other questions, we'd just kind of like to wrap up, just to a final. Sorry, I'm trying to find if anybody's got their hand up. Nope, we all good. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Jamie, Jim and Hannah from CES, and of course yourselves for taking the time out to join today. Hopefully you found it interesting and helpful. I think just the fact that we were able to have this conversation, I think is a good starting point for us. And we'd certainly love to have any comments and feedback on how we can help support opening up these conversations and hopefully yeah, making things happen in the sector. I think it's great that organisations and companies like Morrison Construction are really open to having a conversation, and I know, Jim, that you are welcome emails, direct emails and that, and are happy to have these conversations.
Janice,
so
if anybody wants to reach out, I'm more than happy to meet you for a coffee. And again, I did say in my presentation, if you don't tell me, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anybody wants to reach out, Janice, just pass on my details.
Yeah, you know, that's key, isn't it? We need to, as a sector, actually do that marketing and promotions and get products and goods and services, and our willingness to engage as well. Jamie, do you have any final comments or?
No, Janice. I just like to thank everybody for coming on today, taking time out and attending. I think it's been really worthwhile. I think this is the start of, you know, a journey that we want to support the members and the supply chain and our stakeholders with. I think there's a lot to take the learnings from it as well. I mean, Jim's comment regarding the collaboration workshops, I think that's something definitely that we've talked in-house within Social Enterprise Scotland about arranging, you know, getting some support for the, let's say, legal and the ease of setting up consortia, which I think is going to be critical for some of the opportunities that are getting highlighted as we engage more and learn more from our contacts. Two of the opportunities that we're working on just now, significant opportunities, as I mentioned, up in Inverness and one in Glasgow. We are looking at consortia of social enterprises for these opportunities, but I think it's going to be really good, and we'll have to showcase this once it comes to fruition. But no, thanks very much for the opportunity, Janice, to speak, and thanks everybody for listening, and look forward to engaging more going forward.
Thanks, Jamie. Thank you. That's great. We'll end the session there. I hope everybody has a good day. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.